the budget session was going on, even as all of us were focusing on budget-related matters, because of the way in which certain interpretations were given by some authorities and tribunals, we had to go through very quickly amending the IBC just so that no anomalies existed, and that has, as much as possible, we can get information that has benefited the MSMEs and home buyers. We shall ensure that we keep going in that route. So with this backdrop, I now go over to my first silo, which relates to respecting and honoring wealth creators. CSR violations, about which all of us have been hearing, not to be treated as criminal offense and would instead be a civil liability. Ministry of Corporate Affairs will review the sections under Companies Act. Government has provided companies through revised orders time for completing ongoing projects towards fulfilling their CSR obligations. So every doubt that was prevailing outside, I would want to dispel it today, that there is no intention of the government to go on the prosecution route. CSR will only be treated as a civil matter and not at all as a criminal matter. The second point there in my first silo is issue of IT orders, notices, summons, letters, etc. shall now go through a centralized system. What does that actually mean? It means on or after 1st October 2019, all notices, summons, orders, etc. by the income tax authorities shall be issued through a centralized computer system, and it will contain computer-generated unique documentation identification number. Some of you all have already started writing about it, great sense of what is coming. But what actually it means is, if there is a notice being issued at the ground level and some amount is being claimed on an SSC, that without a central approval cannot happen, and also the amount stated there will eventually either be resolved or resolved in favor of the authorities, and therefore the tax will be paid or the claim will be settled, but the amount shall be what was claimed and not more or less. And this will be available for the assessor himself to see it so that he knows what he is being asked. If necessary, he can even quote that and complain so that there are no anomalies in paper and actual practice. So this is one way in which we think the harassment angle can be addressed in favor of the assessee. The second, any communication issued without computer-generated unique document identification number, the DIN number, that shall be treated non-est. In other words, if anybody has issued from his own level at the ground level, that notice shall not be treated. Actually, the assessee can put it aside and say, I've not received any note, nobody is going to follow him up. Unless the notice goes through the central clearance and unless the notice has a DIN number, the document identification number, it need not be taken seriously by any assessee at all. So let's make that very clear. And all old notices, the question naturally arises, you announced this, what happens to those which were given earlier? All old notices to be decided by 1st October 2019 or uploaded again through the system. So all the notices which have been issued till now will be cleared before October 1st, 2019, within 1.5 months from now. And if in case some of them will have to be treated again, they'll be uploaded again, and only then will it become a valid document for action. So assessees can be very clear. It is now a transparent process. No one authority, no one officer will be doing it independently on his own. And then from 1st October 2019, all notices to be disposed of. This is very important. Things are not going to keep hanging fire. All notices to be disposed of within 3 months from the date of reply. Let's be clear, no assessee will have anything to do with any notice after 3 months once he's given a reply. So that's on the first silo of respecting and honoring are wealth creators. We shall go through a very transparent process. The next one is on the taxation measures that we are coming up with. The much awaited, yes, please, relief from enhanced surcharge on long-term and short-term capital gains. In order to encourage investment in the capital market, it has been decided to withdraw the enhanced surcharge levied by the Finance No. 2 Act of 2019, the recent budget time, on long and short-term capital gains arising from transfer of equity or shares and units referred in section 11A and 111A and 112A respectively. In other words, the enhanced surcharge on FPI goes. In simple words. In other words, the pre-budget position is restored. Surcharge on domestic investors too in the equity market goes. Pre-budget position is restored. So, can we go to the next? Or do you want to you don't want to hear anything more? No, we are going on the others also. Okay, now, I am using an expression which is used commonly, but it's not something part of the ministry. Things about angel tax provisions. That's not an official expression for the tax that we are referring to, but never mind, all of us understand what angel tax refers to. So to mitigate genuine difficulties of startups and their investors, it has been decided that Section 56(2)(b) of the Income Tax Act shall not be applicable to a startup registered with DPIIT. So, the section which is invoked and through which startups had difficulties, but that section is important for the income tax for many other reasons, so the section continues. But that section shall not be applicable to registered startups. All right, now this is done. But after this, if there's a difficulty, it has also been decided to set up a dedicated cell under a member of the CBDT. The CBDT chairman is here, present in the audience. A member of the CBDT will head a cell under him for addressing the problems of startups. A startup having any income tax issue can approach the cell for quick resolution of the problems. So that way, we have made it clear that it shall not apply to startups who are registered with the Department of Industry and Internal Trade. Not only that, but further, there will be a member who will be handling it from the CBDT. We move to the next, which is my third silo, which relates to measures that we are coming up with for the banks, for NBFCs, and for MSMEs. Additional credit expansion through public sector banks. This is something which we did announce during the budget session. Upfront, we are releasing the 70,000 crores. Upfront, we are releasing the 70,000 crores and additional lending and liquidity to the tune of 5 lakh crores can be made available by providing this upfront capital for the PSPs. This was announced in the budget. We are doing it upfront now. And this will, we are very clear that this will benefit all the corporates, retail borrowers, MSMEs, and small traders as well. So we'll also tell you that we are closely working out the ways in which this flow will happen, how it will flow through the NBFCs and so on in a later slide. But this is the first one which we want to tell you. Next, banks have been discussing with us You know that the first discussion one Monday happened with the banks only. Banks have now decided to pass on any rate cut through the MCLR reduction to benefit all borrowers. It's a decision which the banks have made. I'm very grateful because during the consultation, we emphasized on the total, irrespective of the segments, people saying that the benefits of rate reduction don't reach them at all. Or if it reaches in trickles, or if it reaches, the trickles last over several months and years. So there was this across the board grievance that interest rates not being passed down to the customer is affecting, in spite of Reserve Bank having brought it down several times. So now we are very grateful all the banks have agreed and they said that they shall pass on the rate. The next one is, this is more important and that will explain the previous point that I've made. Banks again have decided to launch repo rate or external benchmarking linked loan products. Only a few days ago, the governor of Reserve Bank had spoken about it. He was talking about institutionalizing this mechanism, was also still hoping that the banks would work on it. Now, banks have agreed to do this, and I really want to put on record my appreciation of the Finance Secretary who has been sitting and engaging with the banks to convince them that today's environment demands that the banks become a bit more reasonable on this, and this will therefore result in reduced EMI for housing loans, vehicles and other retail loans by directly linking repo rate to the interest rates, which means the moment the reduction has happened, it will directly benefit the customers, end customers. Working capital loans for industry will also become cheaper as a result. Go over to the next, customer ease. In order to reduce harassment and bring in greater efficiency, public sector banks shall ensure mandated return of loan documents within 15 days of loan closure. Most often, people who came and spoke to us said, look, we finished the loan, we've brought it to a closure, but our documents, the security related documents are not being given to us. It was a demand of every segment which met with us during the consultation, and therefore we've worked together with public sector banks and come to today's situation where within 15 days of the closure of the loan, the documents will be given to the customers so that he can do anything else with it afterwards. It shall now not be held unreasonably by the banks. So this will benefit all those customers who have mortgage documents in the banks and they are sitting without being able to release them. I go to the next point, again under the banks and NBFCs, again on the customer ease, online tracking of loan applications by customers of retail, MSME, housing, vehicle, working capital, limit enhancements, all of this will be covered. They can track it themselves